everyone, and welcome to our first activity of the day this Thursday, reading. Today we're going to be reading chapter 3 in our science unit titled, What Are Genes, with our comprehension questions. On Tuesday, we read about chapter 2, Like Our Parents, and it talked about how sometimes we share some of the same traits as our parents. It may be physical traits such as our hair color or our eye color, or it may be not physical traits such as the way we maybe place our hands. We noticed that the way that we place our hands, if our left thumb was over, if our right thumb was over, it could be we might share eventually as we get older the same, shoe size as our parents. And then we did a life skills activity that went through different traits that are traits that we categorize as inherited traits, which are traits that we are born with, or traits that we learn, such as traits that we learn as we go through our journey of life. So today I'm going to revisit our focus question, which is, who will you share traits with? So think about, who would you share traits with? We've been talking a lot about how we are similar or different to people in our family, whether it's our great-grandparents, our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles, or our moms or our dads. So I want you to think about that as you might answer this focus question. Who will you share traits with, your mother or your neighbor? And I want you to think about your answer and remember that answer, because after we go back and read our chapter 3, What Are Genes, we're going to go back and revisit our focus question. We're going to focus on these 5 vocab words today. As I say them, you can repeat back after me. Hair color, body, ladder, scoot that down a little, eyes, and DNA. So materials that you are going to need today is the chapter 3, What Are Genes reading. You're also going to need your comprehension questions. Multiple choice for those of you that complete this, or fill in the blank for those of you that complete fill in the blank. For those of you that complete the fill in the blank, you're going to need scissors and then tape or glue. And then everybody is going to need a pencil and your correcting tool. I'm going to go through that one more time. So materials that you are going to need are the chapter 3 readings, What Are Genes? Your comprehension questions. Those of you that have the multiple choice questions, those will be in your packet. Or those of you that have the fill-in questions, those will be in your packet. For those of you that have the fill-in questions, you're going to need scissors to cut out your pictures and then glue or tape to glue your answers. Everybody's also going to need a pencil and then your correcting tool. If you need a little bit of extra time gathering those materials, please pause the video here and then press play when you have everything in front of you. All right, so we're going to begin our chapter 3 reading, and as I read, I'd like you to follow along with me. I'll also be stopping throughout the reading to go over some key details. So chapter 3, What Are Genes? Josh looks at a picture of his family. He sees his mom, dad, and sister. Josh and Claire look like their parents. So remember, Claire is Josh's sister. Dad has brown hair and brown eyes. Josh does too. Mom has blonde hair and blue eyes. Claire does too. It is in their genes. So, Josh and his dad share similar genes because they both have brown hair and blue eyes. Claire, Josh's sister, and Josh's mom, Claire's mom also, both have blonde hair and blue eyes. Your body has many cells. Each cell has a job to do. DNA is in each cell. DNA tells the cell what to do. So DNA, which is one of our vocab words, tells the cells what to do. These cells are found in our body, and every cell has a job to do. DNA looks like a ladder. Each rung of the ladder has information. The rungs make up genes. So DNA is like a ladder, and each ladder has a rung in it, which is made up of genes. So here's a picture of the DNA, and you can see it's almost like a ladder form right in the middle. Okay? DNA looks like a tower of blocks. You can make different towers with blocks. Each tower will look a little different. This is just like your genes. So over here in the picture, it shows that DNA, which looks like a ladder, can also look like a tower of blocks. Each tower will look a little bit different. And that's the way that your genes are. So my genes are a little bit different than your genes. Or the same thing if you have a sibling. So your genes would be different than your sibling's genes, such as your brother's genes or your sister's genes. You get genes from your parents. Some genes come from your dad, and some genes come from your mom. Genes make you special. So you get your genes from your parents. For example, you might get, if your mom has brown hair and you have brown hair, you got that gene from your mom. Say if your dad has blue eyes and you have blue eyes, then you got that gene from your dad. So you share some genes from both your parents. You get some genes from your mom and you get some genes from your dad, and that is what makes you special. Genes make your hair color. Genes make your eye color. Genes tell if you are tall or short. So all of your genes make you who you are. Your hair color, your eye color, your height. It could even determine your shoe size. It could determine the type of skin color that you have. So Josh has a gene for brown hair. Dad has a gene for brown hair. Claire has a gene for blonde hair. Mom has a gene for blonde hair. Your DNA and genes come from your parents. Okay? So today in our chapter, what are genes? So genes are what makes you who you are. Genes have all of your different traits. It tells you what your hair color is going to be, what your eye color is going to be, what your height is going to be. And you get these genes from both of your parents. You get some genes from your mom, and you get some genes from your dad. You might even get, for example, depending on who you look like. So I look like my dad, so I got more of my dad's genes than I did of my mom's genes. So now we're going to go into our comprehension questions. For those of you that have the multiple choice, can you please start putting your name at the top? For those of you that have the fill in the blank questions, you probably want to pause the video here so you can cut out these 5 vocab words that we have on the board to help you fill in your questions. When you're done cutting out your questions, you can press play again. So now that everybody should have their comprehension questions out and ready, what I'm going to do is I will read question number 1 of the multiple choice, and then I will read question number 1 of the fill in the blanks. So question number 1 of the multiple choice, and remember you're circling your answer that best completes the question. What is this chapter about? Animals, DNA, or trains? Question number 1 of the fill-in. Mom has blonde hair and blue. Hair color, body, ladder, eyes, or DNA? Question number 2 on the multiple choice. What has many cells? Chair, ball, or body? Circling your answer. Question number 2 on the fill-in. Your blank has many cells. Hair color, body, ladder, eyes, or DNA? Question number 3 on the multiple choice. What does DNA look like? A ladder, a watch, or a blanket? Question number 3 on the fill-in. DNA looks like A, hair color, body, ladder, eyes, or DNA? Question number 4 on the multiple choice. What do genes make? Art, hair color, or dinner? Remember, circling your answer for the multiple choice. Question number 4 on the fill-in. Gene make your hair color, body, ladder, eyes, or DNA? Question number 5 on the multiple choice. Bubbling your answer that best completes the question. What is important to know about this chapter? Josh has blonde hair. Your body is made up of blocks. Your DNA and genes come from your parents. Question number 5 on the fill-in. Your blank and genes come from your parents. Hair color, body, ladder, eyes, or DNA. For those of you that have the fill in the blank questions, if you have to go back to revisit one, you can rewind the video here, and when you have them all completed, you could just resume the video. And you're just gonna hang out before I just need to finish the multiple choice questions for those of you that have the multiple choice questions. Then we will correct and review our answers. Number 6 on the back of the multiple choice. Remember, some of the questions might have more than one correct answer. You want to make sure that you're at least circling one of the answers. If you think you might know both, you can also bubble in both circles. Number 6, what is on each rung of DNA? Eyes, letters, or people? We didn't get too much in depth in this, so the correct answer is letters. I would like you to bubble that in. Number 7, what does DNA look like? Long, thin, or spiral? Number 8, how do you get your genes? You get them inherited from your parents, you buy them from a store, or you make them. Number 9, how are different genes made? Parents pick them up on a computer. Genes are all the same. Our letters on DNA are put in a different order. We're going to answer this one together. The correct one is C, that letters on DNA are put in a different order. Remember, everybody has a little bit different of DNA order. And number 10, why are genes important? Genes tell you how you look. Genes tell you what your talents are. Genes do not do anything. If you are answering the multiple choice questions and you need to go back and revisit some of them, you can go back and rewind the video, and then you can listen to the questions. When everyone has all of their questions done, you can get out a correcting tool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same process as I did before. Remember, if you get your answers right, you'll put a check. If you get them wrong, you'll just put an X and circle the correct answer so we can learn from our mistakes. I'm going to answer question number 1 of the multiple choice. Then I'll go back and answer question number 1 on the fill-in. So question number 1 of the multiple choice. What is this chapter about? Animals, DNA, or trains? The correct answer is DNA. Question number 1 on the fill-in. Mom has blonde hair and blue eyes. Eyes is your fill-in. Question number 2 on the multiple choice. What has many cells? Chair, ball, or body? The correct answer is your body has many cells, and each cell has a specific job to do. Number 2 on the fill-in. Your blank has many cells. The correct answer is body. Body is your fill-in. Number 3, what does DNA look like? Ladder, watch, or blanket? The correct answer is ladder. Number 3 on the fill-in, DNA looks like a ladder is your fill-in. And it also talks about how DNA looks like building blocks as well. Number 4 in the multiple choice, what do genes make? Art, hair color, or dinner? The correct answer is your hair color. Number 4 on the fill-in, genes make your hair color. So genes make your hair color. Genes can also make your eye color, your height. Number 5 on the multiple choice. What is important to know about this chapter? Josh has blonde hair. Your body is made up of blocks. Your DNA and genes come from your parents. And the correct one is C. Your DNA and genes come from your parents. Question number 5 on the fill-in. Your blank and genes come from your parents. And it's DNA is your fill-in. For those of you that have the fill in the blanks, you can just listen as we go over and complete our multiple choice questions for the rest of your classmates. So number 6 on the multiple choice. What is on each rung of DNA? We answered this one together in its letters. Number 7, what does DNA look like? Long, thin, or spiral? It's 2 answers. So DNA is long and it spirals. That one might have been a little tricky since it didn't really talk too much about that in our reading. And it's okay if you got them wrong or you weren't sure. Number 8, how do you get your genes? Inherit from your parents, buy from a store, or make them? The correct answer is you get your genes inherited from your parents. Some genes come from your mom, some genes come from your dad. How are different genes made? We answered this together. It's by letters on DNA are put in a different order. And number 10, why are genes important? Genes tell you how you look. Genes tell you what your talents are. Genes do not do anything. The correct answers are A and B. Genes tell you how you look. So what your hair color is going to be, your skin color, your eye color, your height, your foot size. And then gene tells you what your talents are. So, for example, most of the time if one of your parents has a special talent, it could be related in like the arts or music or sports, most likely you possess that talent as well. Alrighty, now that we have our questions answered, I just want to revisit our focus question, and you're going to check your answer that you chose at the beginning to see if it was correct or incorrect based on our reading. So the focus question was, who will you share traits with? Your mom or your neighbor? The correct answer is your mom. You share traits with your parents. You get some of your parents' genes, some from your mom and some from your dad. And now I just want to go over our 5 vocabulary words that we learned and heard about in our story today. As I say each of the vocab words, you can repeat back after me. Hair color, body, ladder, eyes, and DNA. So in chapter 3 today, we learned about what genes are. Genes determine some of our traits. We get our genes from our parents. Some genes from our mom, some genes from our dad. That determines our hair color, our eye color, and genes and our body. We have cells in our body, and each cell has a specific job. And it talks about all of the cells in DNA. And DNA is shaped like a ladder. It's long and it spirals. It also tells us that the DNA makes us who we are. Okay? As we continue reading, we're going to learn a little bit more of genes and traits, and that will be later on this week, Friday, and then into next week as well. Please remember to send me a picture of your vocabulary word, not your vocabulary. Please remember to send me a picture of your comprehension questions. Have a parent, adult, or older sibling send them to me so I can view your work. And then after you're done with reading, it's going to be time for math. So I will see you all back in math.